Welcome to 50 Nights of Fright. I'm Tommy, joined once again by Jess. Today we're discussing another Boris Karloff classic in The Mummy. Now, what did you think of The Mummy? Was this your first time seeing it as well?
Yes. Honestly, it was not what I expected. I went in thinking it was going to be one thing, and I was completely surprised, but also pleasantly surprised, I'd say.
What I really like about this era of horror movies is most of them aren't horror in the way that we understand horror, but they're more like gothic romances. A lot of them there are very tragic, but they have an undercurrent of like that longing, love. And you see it with Dracula. He's falling in love with the reincarnation of his love. Frankenstein, you get kind of that in there.
You understand the character on that level.
And of course, things like Jekyll and Hyde, there's that longing to do things. Watch the Jekyll and Hyde discussion for more depth on that one. But definitely in The Mummy, you see the theme is that love endures, and it's not so much anger or hatred that brings Imhotep back, but that desire to reconnect with his long-lost love. How long can something like that endure? And the truth is, love lasts forever, as The Mummy kind of shows.
Something that I really liked is I was kind of on Imhotep's side. I'm not gonna lie. Like, of course, we don't want to kill her.
Yeah.
Of course. But
Well.
I understand his point of view. He had his love taken from him. His entire purpose throughout this film, and therefore, if it's relevant in this film, must be his purpose in life. Like, what he really truly wants is to be reunited with his love. And that is something I feel like we can all empathize with.
Unlike, say, Phantom of the Opera, Dracula, Jekyll Hyde, Frankenstein, all of those, The Mummy's not based on a book. It's actually because they found the tomb of Tutankhamun around this time that caused them to want to make, a spooky mummy movie. And so The Mummy is kind of their response to real events happening. That being said, I think it slots in perfectly with Dracula, Frankenstein, later movies that we may go into as well, like The Wolfman or all of those Universal monster movies. The Mummy, he fits, but he wasn't so much a iconic character before the movie came out. It's because of the movie that Imhotep is, kind of synonymous with The Mummy.
Well, and it's interesting because this was like the first, I'd say, monster-based horror film that I felt like he wasn't pinpointed as a monster. He comes back and he kind of is in human form. Of course, we had that makeup, especially with those quick cuts, like that intense makeup. But the rest of it, from normal scenes, his makeup is dialed back a lot. You can see him as a person. The characters themselves don't even think he's a monster to begin with.
Yeah, even like the iconic look of Imhotep, the Mummy, isn't in the movie a whole lot. You actually see him in his human form of Ardeth Bay a lot more in the movie, but it's always like a wrapped mummy look everyone associates with the character.
Yes.
And it does have to deal with a lot of those makeup effects, making him look decayed and, like a mummy would.
Right, which also, can we just appreciate the writing behind the fact that once Imhotep woke up, they had all these brief shots that today might seem not too scary, not too jump out of your seat, but back then, might have made your skin crawl. Not only that, but the person who read the scroll to begin with was slipped into madness just from seeing him.
Yes.
Quite literally 10 years later, died from insanity just from seeing him.
Boy, I wish I could.
That is just a love. I love that little treasure hidden in that writing, because I really like that detail.
Were there any scenes that really stood out to you while watching it that just really, made you feel something, whether it was terror, whether it was unease? Were there scenes that you could speak on like that?
To be honest, I would say the final scene, I know that a lot of the movie is kind of slow-paced a little bit, but that ending sequence, it really kind of it got really exciting, and to the point where she saved herself. I mean, like, the other characters, they were kind of there, like, exposition. She saved herself. Mm-hmm. I really, really loved that scene, especially since they touched back and forth on how she is Egyptian, how she is the reincarnation. I really liked that whole part.
So there is, of course, the remake of the movie starring Brendan Fraser in the 90s. I struggle with preferring the remake over this one. I mean, this version of the movie with Boris Karloff is a classic without a doubt.
Of course.
But I was at the right age when the 90s remake came out that I'm like, this is a fantastic action horror comedy, but I still feel like it would be wrong of me to include things like Dracula, Frankenstein, Creature from the Black Lagoon, all of these other universal creatures, and not put the original in there. Do you think that The Mummy belongs on this list? Is it still an icon of horror?
I absolutely think it is, because especially if you had the experience, the remake is something a lot of us have seen. A lot of us love that movie simply because it's an amazing movie. But going back and rewinding and watching like the original, it is something worth doing, I think, and it's also something to take a different perspective. I saw it completely different than the remake.
All right, if you were to give it, say, a rating on a scale of 1 to 10, 0 to 10, whatever, what would you put this one at?
Okay, let me start with saying I loved watching it. However, I am going to put this on just a little harsher of a rating. I'm going to put 7.5 out of 10.
All right. You can ignore everything she said before, however, but a 7.5 is still pretty good. All right, that was The Mummy, another Boris Karloff classic from the golden age of cinema. Join us again tomorrow when we're watching King Kong.